What up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Curated Topics, brought to you by Curated Sense LLC. Now, I know y'all see it. We making some additions, y'all. We making some additions to the studio. We got a little ambiance over there in the corner. I got me a little corner light. Hopefully that, brings a little bit of a vibe to the videos, adds a little bit more ambiance. But I'm really going to be using it when I do some of my live streams. I'm not going to just be, in the white light pause. I'm not just going to be doing that. But, now that we getting into some more reactions and stuff like that, we got to be able to set the mood. So I'm going to be getting some more lighting in here. We're building it up as we fly it, just like I always say. So as we move throughout the future, you are going to start to see things change. And that's what we're talking about tonight. But first, we're going to do candle of the evening. I think I've shown this candle before, or at least this bottle, but I did a new scent this time. So we got this. This is the DeadHead. This is the DeadHead. Pause. This is DeadHead rum. If you're going to drink, please do so responsibly. This is DeadHead rum. I actually really like this rum a lot. I've tried it before. They have two kinds. There's this kind, and then there is and this is aged 6 years. And then they have another kind that's like a dark chocolate rum, and it's been aged for 4 years. I really like using that to pair with like dessert or something like that. This is just a good like drinking liquor. But look at the just the detail. That is cool. That is cool. So what scent we got in here today? Smells so good. And I actually made this one for myself. This is the cherry tobacco. This scent here is very woodsy. Get from that tobacco flavor, but then it has that hint of sweetness on the back end from the cherry, and it just smells so good. It smells so good. This actually was a surprising scent for me. I thought it wasn't going to be all that popular, and a lot of people love it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, let me get that cherry tobacco, man. I heard about that." And I'm like, where? I was like, where? But you know what? It's becoming more and more popular. So hey, y'all check us out. Y'all check out this scent. We have our summer sale going on right now. Go and check us out, curatedsense.llc.com. Check out our Instagram at curated_sense_LLC. Check us out. We working. But as I was saying, we are building up the channel. We're making small increases as we go. And that's kind of how things are going to go for you in life. But here's the thing. You have to be willing to change. You have to accept the fact that in order to get better, you need to be better. And in order to be better, that means you can't be the same. Well, if you can't be the same, that means you have to what? You have to change. Evolution is change. Increasing yourself is change. Becoming the best version of yourself is change. And I know a lot of people don't like change because, let's face it, change can be scary. But here's the thing, and I talked about this in the last video. This was one of our strategies for self-management. You have to accept the fact that change is just around the corner, especially for my people out there who are trying to elevate themselves to a new level. You have to accept the fact that, hey man, you're going to have to put some of them old things away. You're going to have to stop doing some of the things that you used to do. You're going to have to change in order to reach that next level, that next plateau that you want to see. Why do I say all that? Because tonight we're going to talk about change. And I've got just the message for you all. This is coming from a webinar that I attended with my guy, Dr. George Frazier. Now, before I get into his comments about change, I want to recap the section about change that I talked about in the last video, the strategies for self-management. Like I said before, you have to accept the fact that change is just around the corner. How many of us have plans for our lives? How many of us, we thought about every single step that we want to take over the next 5 to 10 years? Now I want you to think, how many of our lives actually go according to our plan? How many of them go according to our plan exactly the way we planned it? Mine didn't. Mine absolutely didn't. Me being on YouTube, I didn't plan that. I never thought I'd be on YouTube, to be honest with you. It wasn't until some people told me, you have a great voice. Have you ever thought about doing podcasts or doing recorded videos or being on the radio? That was the first time I ever thought about it. But if I want to reach a different level, if I want to see success, I have to accept the fact that, hey, something's got to change. I got to be willing to try some things, right? So things don't go exactly the way we planned it. And that's because none of us have a crystal ball that tells us what's coming next. You don't know what's coming next. That's part of the beauty of the future. Most of our decisions, I'd probably say actually all of our decisions, they come with a level of uncertainty. Like I said before, we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know if we made a good decision or the right decision. That is yet to be seen. And we certainly don't know when we make a decision if it's even going to work out. Part of accepting change is your willingness to take a risk. Every decision that you're going to make comes with some level of risk. So if you're trying to be better, if you're trying to make decisions for yourself to elevate yourself, you have to understand the fact that, one, things are going to have to change, but two, there's risk involved. Staying open to change, it helps you be more open-minded, but it also helps you be more flexible. Now, why do I put that emphasis on flexibility? Well, flexibility is your ability to roll with the punches. Let's say you make a decision, you think it's the right decision, and it fails. When you're open to the fact that things are going to change, you're a little bit more okay if things fail. You're more flexible. That's what we're talking about here. I gotta say my quote again. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. Shout out to Rhapsody. But that rings true. The key to navigating change is your mindset and your perspective before change even occurs. You must prepare for change. You have to embrace it. You have to know that obstacles, they're going to come. They're going to be there. And are you prepared to do what's necessary to overcome them? You have to learn how to anticipate change. But most importantly, when it comes to embracing change, you have to understand the fact that you must change in order to grow. You must change in order to grow. And you have to accept the fact that there's no aspect of your life where you're completely under control. There's no aspect of your life where you are 100% under control. But once again, when you understand that change gonna come, because change gonna come, when you understand that, you are more flexible and you're more understanding of the fact that, hey, no one is completely under control. But that's kind of freeing. Because it takes the pressure off. It makes you more okay with taking a risk. It makes you more okay to fail or to make a mistake and learn the lesson so that you can move forward for the next time. Now let's get into the comments made by Dr. George Fraser. If y'all don't know him, go and look him up. This is coming straight from his series, The 7 Currencies of Life. This one, I thought that it went well with the emotional intelligence series simply because change is mentioned so much throughout this book. And the goal is to change, right? The goal is to change. If you're trying to become more emotionally intelligent, well, you're trying to upgrade your life. You're trying to upgrade yourself. You're trying to become more mature, more emotionally mature. All of that is change. I really wanted to bring that into this video. Wanted to do a video strictly on change before we move on into the next section of the book. So let's dive right in. So as I said before, you have to embrace change. What is change? How is change a currency in your life? Well, change, or the ability to change, goes directly into your resilience. And resilience is one of the 7 currencies of life. Your ability to endure what life throws at you. The ability to endure life's challenges and bounce back. That is change. The ability to know your obstacles and figure out how to overcome them. That is change. In order to grow, you must change. In order to grow and in order to change, you must have the ability to bounce back. You're going to be knocked down. You're going to be knocked down. I'm saying that so many times so that you understand, so that you can face it when it happens. I've talked about this many times. I've been knocked down many times in my life. And you know what? I don't always know how I'm gonna get back up, but I do know that I'm gonna get back up. There's some things I plan to share later on in this journey of YouTube or whatever, but I've talked about how, I was knocked down in terms of my educational experience. It took me 6 years to go from my 10th grade year of high school to college. It took me 6 years to get there. That was one hell of a knockdown. But you know what? I wasn't out of the game and I was able to get back up. And in order for you to overcome those challenges, you have to be willing to get back up. Life's gonna knock you down. And once again, this should be freeing. This should be freeing because 1, you're not the only one. But 2, when you know that it's coming, when you know, hey, at some point, life's gonna figure out a way to knock me on my ass, you can prepare for it. You don't always know what's going to come, but you'll be more aware when it is starting to happen. And here's the thing, when you know that it's coming, you're more willing to change. You're more willing to do something about it. How many times have you just been surprised or blindsided and then you're just stuck like a deer in the headlights? Well, if you knew that whatever surprised you was on its way, if you knew, hey, I will inevitably be at this point, would you be stuck or would you find a way to move around it or overcome it or move about it more quickly? That's one thing I will say about my personal experience, right? I was kind of blindsided. And I didn't know what to do. That's probably why it took me so long. That and being a little bit stubborn and trying to follow other people's way of doing things instead of figuring out the way that I was supposed to do things. But hindsight's 20/20. But here's the thing. I was blindsided. So some of the time that I spent was simply me just being in shock. It was me just like, what do you mean I'm not going back to school? Well, what do we do next? How am I going to get back into school? And then time starts to go by. Now, had I known this was coming, I'd have been like, okay, well, I know it's coming. Here's the plan to get through this. But instead, being completely blindsided, I was more in shock than anything else. So I didn't know what to do. How many of us have experienced something like that? But see, when you know that it's on the way, when you accept the fact that a change is going to come, you can start getting the ball rolling. How many of you all want to change? How many of you all want to elevate your life? How many of you all want to see things happen for you, want to be successful? Well, I got some news for you. The line is longer for those who want change than it is for those who want to change. There's a lot of people who talk about they want to change, but there's not a lot of people who want to be the change that they want to see. I'm going to talk about my dating life a little bit for a second because I'm single. There's a lot of single men out there, a lot of single ladies out there. I've had discussions with ladies before and the discussion of kids comes up. I want kids, me personally. I love to have a family. And I've come across a couple ladies, not trying to put their business out there, I'm not saying no names, but they have actually come out and said something like, well, they don't want kids. And I respect that decision, but they don't want kids because of the state of the world and all of these things. Now, I'm not here to talk about the state of the world either, but the same conversations that I have with them when it comes to wanting kids and things like that, and then their views on how the world is, we all agree we want the world to change. We want the world to change for the better. Well, here's the thing. How's it gonna change if you don't contribute to the change? If you don't do anything to make it change, at least in the world that you exist in, then how is any other part of the world supposed to change? Is that making any sense? That part just kind of came off the top of the head. So y'all let me know if that makes any sense. But how can you expect the world around you to change if you're not a part of it? That's like me telling everybody, yeah, y'all, I want y'all to change, but then I'm still doing the same thing I've been doing. That don't make no sense. That's what I mean when I say the line is longer for those who want change. There's a bunch of people out here who want change. Yeah, I want change. I want everybody. I don't want no poor people. I want everybody to have a meal and all of that. But that line is a lot longer than the line is for the people who actually want to change, who actually want to be the change. So a lot of people out here, oh, let's end world hunger, but then you ask them to go and help you work at a food pantry or something, and they just show up to take their Instagram pictures and leave. I'm not pointing no fingers at anybody directly, but I'm just saying, a lot of people will talk the talk, but how many people out there actually want to be the change that they want to see? What's the next point? The next point is you will never change that which you tolerate. You only change when you get angry. I wouldn't necessarily say angry. I would change angry to passionate. And angry can mean passionate, but I would put passion behind it. You only change when you get passionate. You only feel change when something moves you. You know, you'll never change when you just tolerate what's going on. The next point is what you don't change, you choose. And I think that ties right into toleration. You will never change that which you tolerate. What you don't change, you choose. And here's the caveat to that. What you choose, you must take full responsibility for. You must take full responsibility for that in which you choose and that in which you tolerate. If somebody is crossing your boundaries or something like that, and you allow it, you keep allowing it to happen. Now, one time, we understand one time. One time is your time to let them know. The second time is maybe your time to have grace with them. You know, people don't change overnight. But if somebody continuously oversteps your boundaries and you still keep them around, you're tolerating it. You're choosing it. Let's go back into relationships. A lot of people talk about the toxicity in their failed relationships. That's the new buzzword. Going around. Toxicity. If you chose to stick around through all that toxicity, you tolerated it, which means you chose it. You did not have strict boundaries, and you didn't ask that person to change, or you didn't change yourself. You tolerated the behavior. You chose it. You have to take responsibility for that. That's something that KS used to talk about all the time when he would talk to his incoming callers. It'd be like, okay, well, why'd the relationship end? Well, this person was toxic. They did this, they did that. Well, how long did the relationship last? The relationship was 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Why the hell did you tolerate it for that long? When you do things for that long, that means you chose it. And you have to take a level of responsibility for that. Now, I'm not trying to get too deep into the relationship talk. That's not what this topic is about. I'm just using that as an example. But here's the thing. You know, we're talking about elevation. We're talking about becoming better. We're talking about increasing our lifestyle. Well, guess what? Your life does not get better by chance. Let me say that again. Your life does not get better by chance. Your life does not get better by chance. Your life doesn't get better by coincidence. Your life doesn't get better randomly. Your life isn't the jackpot. It's not like hitting the jackpot, at least. Your life only gets better by change. It only gets better by change. There's a quote that Dr. Fraser shared, which comes from James Baldwin. The quote is, "We are born, we suffer, and then we die." Suffering was the interesting part. Why is suffering the interesting part? Well, because once again, what is this currency of life that we're talking about? We're talking about resilience. Resilience means what? Your ability to endure suffering. What does it also mean? Your ability to change. So the quote could say, "We are born, we change, and then we die." We are born, we change, and then we die. Because that's what happens. How you handle life is what determines your success. And what does that mean? How you handle life, how you endure the suffering. Your resilience determines your success. What is resilience? Change. So how you change in life is what determines your success. You have to handle the curveballs that life throws you. We talked about that. You're going to be knocked down. You're going to be knocked down. But can you get back up? When life is throwing you a curveball, can you recognize it's a curveball? It's not coming right at you. It's curving. It's going around the side and trying to sneak in. The last point I want to make about change never comes from comfort. It never comes from comfort. Comfort means that we are satisfied. Comfort could also mean that we are complacent. And complacent is a little bit different than satisfied. Complacent means you are comfortable being in the same place and you see no need to move forward. Satisfied could be more temporary, whereas complacency is a mindset. But you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I said that before in many of these videos. But that's when you see the change. You have to step out into your uncomfortable situation, and then you'll start to see a change in your life. I'll use myself for an example. In this last pretty much year, I've changed a lot. There's some things that y'all will never know. But what I can say is especially in the year of 2026, I kind of made that like my New Year's resolution, if you will. I said, I'm going to do the things that are out of my comfort zone, but I think will help me grow. I'm going to work on putting myself out there more. YouTube was one of those things. Now, I started that last year in 2025, but YouTube was one of those things. And I made a major push starting in 2026. I signed up for a voiceover class where I'm now certified to produce quality level voiceover work. Studio quality, excuse me. That was way outside my comfort zone. And I spent 6 weeks meeting with a coach after doing my class. And even in those 6 weeks meeting with my coach, at the end, she was like, I can tell that you were very uncomfortable at the beginning, but I like the way that you were open to feedback and just open to trying the things that I was suggesting to you. And I was like, look, I ain't never really did nothing like this before. I never thought I'd be doing anything like this before, but I made it a point to challenge myself this year to try some things out of my comfort zone, and maybe they'll make me better. And I ended the conversation. She was like, you're kind of a natural at this thing. And that made me feel good. But like I said, I had to be open to the fact that I was going to be up out of my comfort zone. That's not the only thing I did this year. In doing my Visionaries of the Year for BCU, can't say the full name. YouTube be getting mad at me for that. But for the BCU, I did a commercial for that on my page. I'll really put myself out there in a way that I've never put myself out there before. And it was it was a life-changing experience, not only because I got a chance to add some soft skills to my repertoire and some other skills, but also just the work that I did, the people that I met, some of the stories that I've heard, the impact that was made. It felt good to be a part of that. I never would have been a part of that if I just stayed in my comfort zone. I never would have been a part of that if I just stayed in my comfort zone. Last thing that not the last thing I did, but the last thing I'm going to talk about. I entered the mentorship program at my job. That's where some of the newcomers or some of the lower level, I'm not going to say not everybody's like lower level, but like the lower level gets a chance to meet with some of the upper level employees, and you can discuss things. You can talk about things like your annual review. You can talk about things like moving up in the company, whatever kinds of questions that you have professionally, all those sorts of things. And I jumped at it. I was like, you know what? I'm doing a lot right now. I've got 6 plates spinning in the air, but you know what? I'm gonna add one more thing because I'm getting up out of my comfort zone this year. And in doing so, I actually made a new friend at work, but also a really good mentor, somebody who can tell me some of the things going on in between the lines. He can share with me some ideas on what he thinks that I could do to improve. Just whatever it is that I needed to ask him, we have developed a good relationship with each other, but it is now playing off to both of our benefits. He's helping make me a better employee, and I'm making him look good because he's helping me out. I can also bounce some of my ideas off of him, super pause, but I can bounce some of my ideas off of him. He can tell me, hey, I'm on the right track, or no, that doesn't sound good. Because of the mentorship program, I got invited to a work event that otherwise I wouldn't have been invited to. But it's all because I stepped up out of my comfort zone. If I just stayed in my comfort zone, probably wouldn't have been able to go to that. I would have never known about it because I never would have entered the mentorship program. I would have just kept doing what I was doing. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but you gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There was a quote that Dr. Fraser shared from Frederick Douglass. It is not the light that we need, it's fire. It's not the gentle shower, it's the storm. The thunder brings the lightning. The thunder brings the lightning. So once again, that goes back to, if you want to see change in your life, you got to bring the heat. You've got to bring the heat. You have to bring the passion. You only change when you get passionate. So I want you all to think about that. I want you all to take that with you. Think about it. What are the things that you want out of your life? What is the success that you want to see? And get passionate about it. Get angry about it if it helps. But that is the only way you're going to see change. That's the only way that you're going to move the needle. That's the only way you're going to move the needle of your life forward through change. That is where I'm going to end it on that topic. We are going to be going back into the emotional intelligence. We're going to be talking about relationships next time. Ooh, yeah, that's the spicy stuff. No, I'm just playing. But we are going to be talking about relationships next time. So I wanted to keep this rather short-ish. I tried. Under 40 minutes. We all right. But let's hop on to some music, y'all. I got to talk about some music. Hey, so it's a lot of music that dropped recently. I want to talk about the Larry June album. I am talking about the new Larry June album. It's called Who Coppin'. Who Coppin'. Now, I really like this album. It's the same Larry June, right? But just a little bit different in terms of the beat selection and the flows a little bit. He mixed it up a little bit more with this one. Now, he is still talking about, this is still lifestyle rap. That's what I call it. This is lifestyle rap. You can throw this on in the car. You can throw this on during your bakery time, whatever it is that you like to do when you're chilling, whatever. But this is the lifestyle rap. This is the rap, in my opinion, this is the type of rap that makes me want to change and evolve and increase my life. One of my favorite songs off of here My favorite song is the last song is called God Got Us, but I also like Organic Motion, and I also like Better Decisions. So those are my top 3 from the album. Like I said, classic Larry June album, lifestyle raps. You know, he's gonna give you something smooth every time. Every time. It's not always just gonna be about, partying and being lit. But this is the thing that you can listen to help get you motivated. This is the inspirational lifestyle rap. So y'all go check it out. Let me know what you think. That's it for today's video. I want to say shout out to everybody who has been supporting, everybody who's been supportive of me. I appreciate you all. Shout out to all my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. We building each other up over here. That's men, that's women, that's everybody. So I want you all to know, hey, I'm right here with you on this road to change. As you can see, I did a little something over here. I got the little corner light bar. I would put one on this side, but there's no corner over there. So I don't know how it would look. I did get a couple of them, but I decorated some other rooms with them as well. I may get a second one down here. Who knows? Y'all let me know. But y'all gonna start to see some more things come into view. That means more artwork, more everything, more life. That's what we talk about. But as I always say, peace. I'll catch y'all on the next one.